This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association. Your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Thursday, June 8th, 2023, and we're so glad you could join us for today's show. In today's episode, I am at World Pork Expo 2023 on the grounds of the Iowa State Fairgrounds. And in today's show, I will be joined by Andrew Bailey. He is the legal counsel for the National Pork Producers Council. We'll also have a check of the weather, but first, let's run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day, we are joined now by Kaden Sweeney of agmarket.net for our closing market analysis. Kaden, what do we see take place on the grain markets today?
Yeah, grain markets looked like it was going to be a rough day at the open last night. We saw kind of some weakness yesterday during the day. Opened up lower on the overnight. Corn gapped lower, both old and new crop last night. But we kind of found some footing today. Really, we were led higher. July corn turned around to be a pretty good leader, as well as November beans. So a little bit of parity there. Corn's getting led by old crop, beans kind of getting led by new crop. But either way, we'll take a day in the green for sure.
And as we know, Kaden, the weather kind of leading the way as far as what's happening in the markets right now. What's kind of been the latest on those weather forecasts and what we're expecting for precipitation and how that might affect the markets?
Yeah, so as you know, we get the runs every about 12 hours or so. So you kind of get some changes in your day. But basically, the consensus, as far as I know, is this weekend a little bit of rain across the I-states, not a ton. Really, the next weekend after that, I think, is when you start seeing some pretty good precipitation coming through. So, you have to think if that comes to fruition, that the market's gonna feel some stress, gonna feel a little bit heavy. On the other hand, as always, if that rain doesn't materialize, then this market could take another leg higher. But as we said today, there's rain out there. We just got to get to it.
Kaden, what's happening right now with the wheat market? Because we know that Russia is offering up some really cheap wheat, and that kind of seems to have thrown a monkey wrench into the gears of the wheat market.
Yeah, wheat market's always interesting, especially whenever you have to factor in, Russia and Ukraine, that whole deal. There was headlines a couple days ago, earlier this week, that Ukraine had kind of basically flooded a large portion of their wheat crop in Russia, and wheat took off overnight that night, up 20 cents or whatever. And then by the time the day came, it just continued to slip away. We're up, about 9 cents on the day today. Nothing too crazy, still around 6.30. So we haven't really seen the big jump that we'd like to see out of a big, supply story out of Russia. But nonetheless, we're a little bit higher than we were and have been the last couple of weeks.
Kaden, we are here at World Pork Expo this week, and I know that producers and people just walking around in general were happy to see those a little bit higher pork numbers this week as compared to the last couple of weeks especially. But when we talk about the livestock markets today, Kaden, what took place in the livestock markets?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, pork having a much better week than it did last week. I think when I was on here last week, we were down $7 on the week as a whole. This week, we're actually up about 3 or so. So nice to see some footing. We're well off the lows at this point. Hogs today in July up about, what are we looking at, 30 cents right now. So really pretty quiet. Cattle, on the other hand, had a pretty quiet day too until close. Kind of didn't close very well. So August live cattle down about $1, and August feeders down 50 cents or so today.
And Kaden, is there anything that you've seen as far as the fundamentals and things that are the kind of the market indicators for hogs? Do you think this is entering a period maybe where we might see some sustained upward movement for the hogs?
I come at it more from a technical standpoint than fundamental on the hog market, just because I feel like that's kind of the way traders treat it. And just looking today, we've made good progress this week getting over the 10-day, 20-day moving averages. Those have been ceilings for the hog market for a long time. Have been anchoring it. We try to get above that 10-day, that 20-day, and then just sell off against it again. We finally broken through it this week, and it kind of seen some move off of that. So If you're following technicals, there's a decent chance we'll go back down, retest that, and then you hope that it holds, and you then can build some further support off of there.
Well, Kaden, thank you for the analysis here today. What's the best way for our viewers to get in touch for a more personalized marketing plan?
Yeah, just go to our website, agmarket.net. You can reach any of our brokers from there, as well as try out any of the products we offer, whether it be our app or our research or whatnot. Good time is in to get a marketing plan together. There's a lot going on right now for sure.
Lots of great resources available for people to check out. Kaden, thank you so much for the time and have a great rest of your week.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Take it easy.
Thank you to the team at agmarket.net. Now let's turn our attention to the closing numbers, brought to you courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. July corn up 6 even at 6.10 1/4. New crop December corn up 2 1/4 at 5.33 even. July soybeans up 2 1/2 at 13.63 1/4. New crop November soybeans up 10 1/2 at 11.89 even. August soybean meal down $1.30 at 393.90. August soybean oil up $1.59 at 51.58. Chicago wheat up 11 1/4 at 6.39 even. Minneapolis wheat up 21 1/2 at 8.18 even. Kansas hard red wheat up 17 3/4 at 8.03 3/4. September oats up 10 3/4 at 3.59 even. On the Merc, August live cattle down 95 cents at 172.25. August feeder cattle down 45 cents at 238.65. July lean hogs up 27 cents at 87.20. July pork cutout down 7 cents at 89.65. Class 3 milk down 14 cents at 15.16. And that's been a check of the Ag Market Recap here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead now and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association, and the Soy Checkoff. And when we come back, I will be joined by Andrew Bailey of the National Pork Producers Council. That's coming up next here on Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to today's episode of Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. In today's show, I'm joined by Andrew Bailey, legal counsel with the National Pork Producers Council, and today we talk about the importance of biosecurity and preventing foreign animal disease. Mark Magnuson with the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm joined today by Andrew Bailey. He is legal counsel with the National Pork Producers Council. Andrew, thanks so much for joining us here today at World Pork Expo 2023.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
And Andrew, one of the topics we wanted to talk about today, we'll just start off with something that I honestly did not know a lot about when I first heard about it, and I've been intrigued about it ever since then, and that is the Beagle Brigade. Could you tell us, first of all, what are the main duties of the Beagle Brigade? And for those who don't know, is it what it sounds like, the Beagle Brigade?
Well, I'll start with the latter one. The Beagle Brigade is what it sounds like. It's federal beagles that are part of the Customs and Border Protection, and they are trained in Noonan, Georgia at the National Detector Dog Training Center as part of the Ag Quarantine Inspection Program. And that's really our first line of defense for foreign animal and plant diseases and pests coming into the U.S. These beagles, and there's some other dogs, but it's predominantly beagles, are at just about every airport and port of entry across the country. In a given day, I think AQI makes thousands of interdictions of product, food, and agricultural products, and you know, even in the modern day of technology, and everybody talks AI and things like that, sometimes the best tool you got is still the nose of a dog.
And are they active at places other than airports? Are they at seaports too? Do they check on cargo, those types of things?
Yep. They tailor the type of dog to the environment. We're talking seaports, international mail sorting facilities coming into the U.S., airports, cruise terminals, things like that. They're very active.
And so beagles, they do then have that special ability to be good at this job. It's not just for fun that they're beagles that are able to be a part of this important front line, like you said, in the front line of defense.
Yeah, they're very food motivated. So I have to imagine it's not terribly hard to convince a beagle to go smelling for certain foods, and they'll smell whatever they're paid to smell, as the CBP agents will say. They train them pretty rigorously, and not only the dog, but the agents themselves that are paired with the animals to really know their idiosyncrasies, and because they're not robots, they're dogs, and it's you can definitely tell how motivated the dogs are if you get to meet one in person.
And Andrew, why is that so important then to make sure that you're stopping potentially and hopefully something from entering the country at that very first point of entry?
Well, we talk a lot about programs for preparedness or response, protection zones, what traceability or regionalization looks like. But obviously the number one priority is hardening the border, making sure that we never have to get to that point, that we interdict products or animals that could come in and actually introduce a foreign animal disease. Obviously top of mind for the pork industry is ASF, but this is all of agriculture. The crop guys, the cattle guys, everyone has a concern with this. And when you talk to these agents at CPP, you really get that they understand the gravity of the role they play as that front line.
And so, Andrew, this dovetails nicely then into discussing the Farm Bill, the upcoming Farm Bill, and those things that the National Pork Producers Council, producers in general, and even consumers would like to see as part of the Farm Bill. And a big part of that, of course, just goes with what we were talking about, and that is that first line of defense against foreign animal disease. What is the push right now for the Farm Bill in that regard and making sure that we have the best protection?
Yeah, so, in the last Farm Bill, we set up what we colloquially refer to as the three-legged stool of animal health. And that's not just a pork industry priority, that's sort of the whole barnyard, as we like to call it. And that would be the national vaccine stockpile or the vaccine bank, the National Animal Disease Preparedness and Response Program, and the National Animal Health Labs. And those are really three elements that all work in tandem to develop, under NADPREP, develop our capacity to prevent and respond to disease. And the National Animal Health Labs, which is really where, 60 some odd labs across the country that if we had, knock on wood, some sort of foreign animal disease, that's where we'd need that testing capacity. Not just to know where the disease is, but where it isn't, right? And then, the vaccine bank is very important especially for high consequence foreign animal diseases like foot and mouth disease, where were it to come to the U.S., you're talking hundreds of billions of dollars in damages over, a decade. And there's not excess manufacturing capacity out there because it is rampant across the world. So having a stockpile already is very important. And we had those set up, and our big focus in this Farm Bill is protecting those and expanding those programs because they've proven their value, and I think everyone agrees with that.
And where do you think we are right now in terms of just overall biosecurity measures? Do you think we're in a good spot? Obviously, you always want to be making improvements, and we're concerned about the biggest probably is African swine fever, of course, and that potential threat, which, of course, it has not happened in this country, but where do you think we are in terms of just the overall picture? Is there still a long ways to go? Are we in a good spot? Where do you think we are?
I think since African swine fever really started coming into the consciousness as it started spreading across East Asia several years ago, it really brought a renewed focus on biosecurity as one of our major elements there. We've come a long way, and we've done a lot of work, and we continue to improve. I'd hate to say we need to rest on our laurels and we're doing enough with a disease like that could overnight shut off all of our 7 whatever billion in exports a year and devastate farms. I don't know if you're ever done enough. You're never in a we're good enough, but I think we're at a point where we know what our gaps are. We know where we need to target improvement, and we're working as an industry with our industry partners, with the federal government, with the states, to make sure that we address those.
And in addition to the biosecurity angle, what are the biggest priorities going into the Farm Bill process? We know we've heard a lot of these listening sessions with the decision makers, policymakers, and hearing the thoughts from the various groups, but what do you think, what else needs to be included as main tenets of that Farm Bill?
Yeah, as I said, the three-legged tool is a big priority for us. There's hope that the Beagle Brigade Act, which authorizes that training center in Georgia, will be folded into the Farm Bill. Our biggest priority is to make sure that we have a timely Farm Bill. We're a little behind because we had an election last year. We may be behind where we'd like to be, but hopefully, and we've got commitment, in both sides in the House and Senate, that we'll have a timely passage. But that's a real focus for us, and the clock is ticking.
And Andrew, is there anything else you'd like to let our viewers, our listeners know about when it comes to some of the topics we've been discussing today and just going forward?
Just that, as I said, top of mind, making sure that producers and not just pork, sort of everyone sort of keeps in mind, if you go abroad or you come back, those beagles are there, sort of watching out for agriculture every day, and it's important to keep in mind that, everyone sort of has a part to play.
So be on the lookout at the airport next time. The Beagle Brigade has your back. Andrew Bailey, NPPC Legal Counsel, our guest here today. Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us. It's been a very interesting conversation. Have a great rest of the World Pork Expo.
Thank you.
That was Andrew Bailey with the National Pork Producers Council. Let's turn our attention now to the ag weather outlook. Well, we have a mixture of clouds and sunshine here today in the Des Moines area and at World Pork Expo at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. But for the most part, overcast here today, but it does feel rather comfortable as we have temperatures that are a little bit easier to deal with here today. Tomorrow, we're expected to have a little bit of a warm-up here in the state of Iowa as temperatures climb back up into the 80s, and then looking towards Saturday, a little bit more chances for some precipitation. So let's turn our attention now to the National Weather Service and what's in store for the next 24 hours. As you can see from the National Weather Service, partly to mostly sunny, chances for isolated thunderstorms in central Iowa, and high temperatures expected 79 to 81. Mostly clear to partly cloudy skies tonight, slight chance of thunderstorms in western Iowa, low temperatures expected in the 50 to 59 range. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, then slight chances of thunderstorms on Friday, highs expected 82 to 84. And now taking a look at our affiliate weather map for tomorrow. Cherokee, mostly sunny, then a slight chance of thunderstorms, high around 82. Shenandoah, mostly sunny, then a slight chance of thunderstorms, high around 84. Des Moines, sunny, high around 82. Albia, sunny, high around 82. Waterloo, sunny, high of 83. And Clinton, sunny, with a high around 82. And that wraps up our ag weather outlook here on Ag Matters PM, and that also brings us to the end of today's show. I want to remind you can find all of our daily content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also find this episode and all of our past episodes of AMPM on our YouTube channel. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well to let you know when we have any new video content. And of course, you can also listen to our free twice daily market podcast, which are found wherever you find your favorite podcast on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the Iowa State Fair Fairgrounds for World Pork Expo 2023, I'm Mark Magnuson. For Riley Smith and Dustin Huffman as well, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.